Happy halfway to Halloween mark. We are there. We are almost there. It's the best time of the year. So, congratulations to us. Number two, I got a kick-ass poster for the movie that I watched tonight. Stand by. If you've gone and seen this tonight, then you will also get this very same poster. But at the bottom, this says halfway to Halloween, right? And usually I criticize movies like this for not releasing when they need to, which is October. And this, sure, margins are probably better around this time of year. And especially for a movie like this, sure. But what I like that they did is, you know what? We'll meet you halfway, quite literally. We'll release this film on the halfway point of Halloween. And I think every year from now on, we should have a tentpole big ass horror movie to come out this time of year, because that was so satisfying to do halfway. It like made it feel more joyous that we are halfway there. It's just kind of like marking on the calendar that today is the day we're halfway to Halloween. So let's watch a kick-ass horror movie in day theater. What a great time, and everyone in the theater was definitely feeling the vibe as well. So great experience. So I've had an hour to calm down because I actually really want to tell you right now, this movie is a yes. This movie's a fuck yes. I love this movie. I will tell you why. But first, I'm going to tell you what this film is about if you don't know what it is. So today, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, who, if you're not aware, is the director. Lee Cronin himself is the director of Evil Dead Rise, A Hole in the Ground. The guy is good. He is good when it comes to horror. Evil Dead Rise was exactly what it needed to be. I need to stop doing this. I'm not Italian. Evil Dead Rise was exactly what it needed to be. So coming into this, I had high hopes on that alone, that even if I didn't receive the Mummy experience, that I would still get something worth talking about. And trust me, I fucking did. So the movie follows a family who is grieving the disappearance of their 10-year-old daughter. 7 years later, she shows up in an Egyptian sarcophagus. And she looks fucking weird. Malnourished, thirsty, dehydrated, and her skin is incredibly unhealthy. She is in a catatonic state. There's so much going on with her, but the doctor's consensus is, hey, her vitals are good. Send her home with the family. It's probably what she needs. So that's where our film really takes off. What we have here is a film that treats the mummy's curse as a demonic possession film. And I think for that alone, it subverts certain expectations because you don't expect that from a mummy movie. And I think it's kind of a cheat, because if this was a demonic possession film, I would go, yeah, it was good, but it's what I expect. But it's because they have that mummy element, the curse, and that it's based in Europe. That it's based in Egypt and in Cairo. It's those elements that kind of give it an element of subversion that really allowed me to go, yeah, I'm in for this. I'm in for treating a mummy's curse like demonic possession, because that's essentially what the film is. Now, I know what people are going to say, right? I have a feeling that most of this film is going to have kind of a divided sort of take, right? You're either really going to love it for everything it does, or you're going to not ride with it, and that's just it. And not because the production is bad, because I'll tell you this, one thing this film does well is that its production and attention to detail and love and care behind the production, the set design, the practical makeups, the choreography in terms of the composition of a scene, how it moves, the framing, I mean, it's impeccable. And this is the guy that made Evil Dead Rise look as good as it did. This looks insane. I mean, this movie, every single shot in this movie is pause worthy. Whether it be for something as menial as the lighting, the color grading, the framing, like the composition, the way that we're building up to a scare, it absolutely works. And by the way, this film doesn't rely on jump scares. It's the discomfort of the horror that exists in front of you that carries this movie forward. The sound design, holy shit. I watched this in Dolby. Go watch this in Dolby with a packed theater, no less. The sound design in this is absolutely phenomenal. They know how to implement diegetic sound and atmosphere, and they know how to use footsteps and that's basic stuff in horror, using footsteps, but the way that it's used here to amplify the Dolby experience is insane. The music, the score really works. The voice really works of the girl who was possessed by, there's so many things that work here on a production level that at that very front, it's worth watching alone. What I think people might tear it apart for is that, one, I've already heard, and I've done a little bit of research just out of curiosity, that people might think it's a little too gross. once again, we find ourselves in a place where, at least for me, yes, the movie is disgusting and it is disturbing, but at least for me, I didn't find that it crossed any crazy lines, right? And this is just coming because for me, we haven't had something as crazy as The Exorcist when Reagan is stabbing herself in the coochie spot with a crucifix. Like that to me is like peak. Like we're never going to see something like that in cinema again because we're in a different time, and I think people are scared of crossing certain lines. Now, this movie gets very close. This movie that gets very, very close. But I think the reason it carries this amplification in its violence is because everything is practical effects. Down from the smidgiest, smallest element of violence up to the most bombastic one, 99% of the violence in this film is practical, and it works, and it's disturbing because it's there and you can realize it. The makeup is done with such detail. Again, if you've seen Evil Dead Rise, the Deadite makeup, that's just the start of what he does here. He really just he knows how to present to you something disturbing and make it look real and authentic, and he knows how to push the body horror in this. And I think that's what it comes from, is just that anything body horror, if done even half the level that this does it, is already cringe inducing. And I think that that's just a physiological need to just kind of cringe. I cringed a few times, but I can't say there's anything in this movie that I was like gagging or told me like, oh, I'm going to walk away. There were moments where I was like, kind of clutching my neck when I saw something involving a neck, or I clutched my foot, especially during one specific scene. The gore in here is the perfect amount of gore that you would want from a movie that says is extreme or is said to be extreme. This is where we would want it. Like, at least for a horror fan who enjoys this kind of disturbing shit, I really, really, really love the gore here. I love the body horror. It is shocking. And, you know, I criticized Bring Her Back for being like a movie that was trying to be deep and then occasionally inserting violence for shock's sake. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I didn't think that Bring Her Back was such a fucking, it was such a psychological film at the beginning. And then they just threw elements of body horror with the little kid Oliver that, if you took Oliver out of the story, wouldn't have served anything, but they needed shock value to keep you invested. So they put these elements of like a child chewing on a fucking wooden, you know, on a wooden table or on a counter, or chewing on a knife. Those things didn't work because they felt out of context with the story. This film isn't trying to be anywhere near as deep as this movie. This movie is just trying to be an extravaganza of a film that deals with curse, and there is the occasional drama with the family and the guilt that bounces between them. But really what carries the drama is that most of these characters are actually really likable. I find the siblings are so likable, especially the little sister. She was so charming. She knew when to insert jokes. This movie actually has some really decent humor, and there's even humor in the absurd violence, because it's so crazy that you can't help but laugh with the movie because of the discomfort and the joy that you get of going like, wow, this movie's fucking going there, and this movie went there, and I appreciate the fact that this movie is in theaters and it's going there. It went there. But the family here is likable. The mom and the banter between the mom and the husband, the wife and husband, are they're endearing, and you like them for them. Maybe the weakest actor of this would probably be the dad, but I found him as just trying to maintain more of the composure in the family while he was actively trying to figure out what was wrong with her. But everyone acts so good in this film. The performances are strong. The grandma is kind of a Hispanic Latin cliche. She's the woman who was always praying and is very kind of snarky and sassy, but like, if you're in a Hispanic household, you got about 17 of those in your family line. So, you know, it kind of fit. I just found the characters to be endearing, and I rooted for them. There's a side element to the story that really enthralled me and brought me back to something that is near and dear to me. Now, hear me out. You motherfuckers know how much I love The Exorcist. Like, The Exorcist is the defining film of my fucking life. Like, I love that film. I love the book. I think about that film and how it like kickstarted my love for like the medium of film, and I watch that shit endlessly. And anything that tries to even step near to that, I go like, get the fuck out of here. You couldn't even dream. But this film does something interesting that I think had other demonic possession films have absolutely failed at doing. And this film does it. It understands its influences, and it doesn't try to do this sort of mimicry or replication. This isn't a fucking Exorcist film. You know, we do get the trope of like, I need to understand this more. Let me go find an expert. But there is no fucking exorcism here. There's none of that, right? So this film isn't trying to go, let's do this and that. But what I found that was really interesting and that they did really well is that if you're familiar with the start of The Exorcist, Father Merrin, right? When he's looking for the temple of Pazuzu, the way that it's shot when he's in the Middle East, right? Yellows and browns and the bells and the sort of the sound and the atmosphere that fills the silence that lets you know that he is not in the US and building up to that. There are scenes, this whole movie takes place in Cairo, in Egypt, and it has that same color grading. And it's like, it felt like sort of like, we know we can't touch this. But I found that where any other movie, demonic possession would have started out in the US and it would have stayed there, setting it in Cairo and shooting it like one of the greats, just for me, tickled me. And I was like, this looks beautiful. And because I know the expertise behind the camera, I wasn't mad that they tried to do that, because that was a clear homage. What's also clear is that, like the original book of The Exorcist, where the investigation element, the detective element was a big part of the book more than it was in the film, they added that in this film. There is a huge branching element of investigation in this film that I really liked, because while you're dealing with the curse stuff and the family domestic stuff on one end, you're dealing with the investigation on the other, and the investigation is where you're getting all your information from. And you know, in the atmosphere and the vibe, it almost felt David Fincher-esque. But then in the horror family domestic side, you're getting the curse and the even Evil Dead influences and the Exorcist influences, and it's intermingled while being wrapped, pun intended, in this sort of mummy theme, you know, and a curse theme. And that just worked in so many ways that I wasn't holding these influences against it, because it wasn't trying to be that. It's just going, hey, I know we're going to intersect, but we're going to do it respectfully. And because we know they did it first, here's our version of that. And I was like, yes. You're like, yes, this is how you like pay homage to the greats, and you don't try to pretend that you're at their level. And I just think that it did so much. Even with the voice of the little girl possessed by the curse, this voice is more convincing than anything I've heard come out of a little girl's mouth in terms of demonic entities since the original Exorcist. And one of the things I criticize every exorcism for, and especially the Exorcist Believer film, is that the voice was not right. Like, one of the most terrifying things of the original 73 Exorcist is the voice of Pazuzu, and the fact that the lady literally destroyed her vocal cords in order to produce that sound, and picked up drinking and smoking after not having done it for years, just for that role. And it sounds haunting. It fucks you up coming out of a little girl. And this isn't like that, but it's the closest we've ever gotten to having another voice that feels like they understand what it should sound like if there's something inside of your body that is not you and it is using your voice box to communicate. It felt disembodied in the right way, and it didn't feel cartoony, weird. It just felt guttural and creepy, and I was like, yes, you did it. You sons of bitches, you fucking did it. The body horror is fucking bellissimo. Like, I'm not Italian, I swear. The body horror here was so insane. There are moments that involve a toenail. There are moments that involve bending the body. There are moments that involve a lot of neck stuff. That is really, really fucking efficient. The girl who portrays the main girl possessed did an incredible job putting her mind and body through this role, which reminded me of Linda Blair. And like, that's a very demanding role. This is a 2 hour and 15-minute long movie. She is possessed for almost all of it. And it's kind of insane that she put herself through this experience that you could tell is physically and mentally demanding. This is not just a like easy gig. This is not like I'm just in the bed. No, she is like contorting her body. She's cracking up. She's playing the menace. She's playing the catatonic victim. She's so many little bits and pieces that makes her interesting to be in. Like, what are you going to do next? What's going to happen? The practical makeup isn't just bruises. They actually give you a reason for why she looks the way she does. If this had been any other demonic possession movie, let's try to make her look like Reagan and not explain that it's supposed to look like a decomposed, battered body. No, most fucking demonic possession movies just try to make them look creepy, and it's not creepy. They give them the deep voice, the guttural voice. Sounds like a fucking smoker, 80-year-old dude on steroids. Like, it's horrible. They do the black eyes, none of that stuff. You know, like, you feel like her body is going through it. And I think if one of the most terrifying things in a demonic possession movie is that the body represents the kind of internal torture that that character is going through. That's why Reagan's makeup works so well. The bruising and the emaciation. It's because Pazuzu is fucking her up from the inside. She is decomposing from the outside because Pazuzu doesn't let her eat. Not because she's scary, but because she looks like an animated dead body. That is why it works. And here they give you a reason for why she looks so fucked up, and it works. It works because it almost feels like this body is too weak to move. It's too dead. So obviously something's inside it controlling it, and that disembodiment is what amplifies it. So look, man, I can sing the graces of this movie all day, and if I do, I'll just keep repeating myself over and over again. Okay, don't be a movie fucking snob. Go in there. Watch this movie, and even if you try to be a snob, you're going to find that the production on this is much better, if not some of the best you've seen in horror this year. If any of this sounds fucking fun to you, and if you love these kinds of films like I do, where like curses and demonic possession are your thing, this is the best version of that kind of film that we can get right now from a big Hollywood production. I'm surprised they did some of the things they did considering big Hollywood production. This just rocks, man. This is definitely something that is in the right direction. If they do more of this sort of subversion for classic creatures, I'm all in. You know, if we can get a redo with Wolfman, but with Lee Cronin directed, give him the whole fucking universe, dude. Give him the whole universe. I want to see what he does with Wolfman. Now, granted, we are getting Werewolf from none other than the grand director of Nosferatu. So, we are in good hands with a werewolf film. But I think if you're trying to do like this whole universe again, Universal Monsters, give him the keys to the kingdom. If this does well, I think that he deserves more. He absolutely deserves more. Also, if you caught the movie today, you're in for a really good surprise because we got a teaser to Evil Dead Burn, and it was a 20-second teaser. So if that gets your ass in the seats, so be it. Go there and see it, because that teaser was worth watching. 20 seconds, and it was masterfully shot. And there's a lot of stuff coming out of the con recently with films, Paramount, and all this stuff. And they had a big description of what like the Evil Dead Burn trailer was. And now we get a little teaser, at least if you didn't go to the con, and we got a teaser, and that's really good news. So anyway, happy halfway to Halloween. Go watch this movie if you're anything like me and you feel like our tastes align and you feel like all of this made sense. Go watch it. This shit is insane. It might make it on my top 10 of the year, top 5 of the year. I gotta look at that list again, but I really, really enjoy this. Go with a friend who is squeamish. Please tell them I sent you. Tell them I told them to do it. Anyway, that's it for this review, guys. I really enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys on the next one. And as always, I will see you at the movies.